Good morning. It's Tuesday again, and this is Joyce at Delightful Quilting and Sewing, a Nolting dealer in Avon, New York. Today I want to talk about the Nolting frames, and there are two possibilities. We have the steel commercial frame, the one that I'm showing right now, and we also have the steel stretch frame, which is relatively new for Nolting. And I want to talk about the similarities and the differences between the stretch frame and the standard steel frame. The steel frame that Nolting has is basically the original design that they came up with many, many years ago. And when I was looking at long arms, one of the reasons my husband encouraged me to go with Nolting was the frame. It is functional. It does everything that you need, and it does it simply. One of the things about the Nolting frame that is excellent from his perspective, and he's a machinist, fabricator, and a machine builder, is that it's clear span. You do not have a leg in the middle to try and adjust and keep the frame level. So that's a big plus. There's a few other things on the steel frame, the commercial frame, that are really nice. One of the positives for me is there is no dead bar in here. The dead bar takes up some of your space. And you don't need a dead bar because you can easily raise your take-up roller as your quilt gets bigger. So as you're quilting, you roll it up onto the take-up roller here, and the take-up roller gets bigger and bigger and bigger with the quilt as you're quilting. For example, this is just a practice piece here, but you can see how it's building up on the roller here. So any quilt that you have is going to take up some of the space of your throat capability here by rolling up onto the take-up roller. One of the things about quilting is you need to always keep at least a finger width between the bottom of your quilt and the throat of your machine so that your machine does not get bound up and it can easily move over your quilt. So in order to do that, you need to be able to raise the take-up roller. Very easy to do on the Nolting frame. There's a handle right here. This is called the quilt elevator. And when I turn the handle, you can see on the scale back there that the roller is getting higher and higher. So you start out, of course, with it lower, keeping your finger width between your quilt on your take-up roller and the throat of the machine, and then as you advance your quilt every time, you're going to crank the roller up. Now, there's one of these on each end of the machine. They have a scale, and if you have an older frame and you don't have a scale back there, call Nolting. You can buy those. They're just stick-on. You just clean it off real well with alcohol and apply it to the space right there. And then you have the scale on each end so that you know how high your roller is. So it's important to remember to crank the roller up on each end to keep your take-up roller level across your frame and to provide that finger width of space between the quilt on the roller and the throat of the machine. Also on these frames, the arms that are on the end are scaled to the size of the throat. Now the NV that's right there, the purple one, is a 24-inch throat. So these are the arms that we have for the 24-inch throat. Putting the rollers out far enough so that you can maximize the throat space of your machine. If you have a shorter throat machine, a 20-inch or a 17-inch, you will have a different set of arms on it that will accommodate the throat of the machine that you have and allow you to have the best working space in the throat of your machine. At the bottom, underneath here, we have a batting bar. I'll point to it. I don't have my shoes on, but there's my foot, and there's a batting bar there. That is not part of the support system of the frame. That's simply there for your convenience if you want to use it to put rolls of batting on. All of the frames, of course, come with clamps, and when you purchase, it comes with the leaders. And if you decide that you wanted zippers on it, you can order your leaders with zippers, or it has a casing that you can put in a leader grip, or of course you can pin to that as well. So that's pretty much this frame right here. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention is this pin right here is for the roller that the quilt top will be rolled on. I float my quilts. Right here you can see there's no top roller. Here's the top of this practice piece. Underneath it is the batting, and here's the backing that's rolled onto the belly bar roller up here. And so I float everything else. If you do have the top roller on right here under this pin right here, one of the things on their commercial frame is that you can easily lift this up. You can lift this bar up, which allows you to get in on top of the backing and batting so that you can easily straighten out your batting and the top of your quilt. Make sure you don't have any wrinkles in it as you're quilting. So going on now to their newer style of frame, which is their steel stretch frame. Now this is not the same, doesn't have the same features as the steel frame, but it offers a less expensive option if you're looking maybe to save money. So some of the differences is that you do have a dead bar here. This is the dead bar on this frame right here. And you'll notice if I get to the side here that it is in front of the take-up roller. So the take-up roller is set high to allow space in here for the quilt to roll up on, but the dead bar is in front of that. So it does take up extra space out of the throat of your machine. So when your machine is fully forward, the back arm of the machine would be here. So you're losing all of the space here on your take-up roller, as well as all the way to the front of here. And of course you wouldn't want to quilt all the way up to this because you might damage the foot on your machine. So you have to stay away from this by a little bit. So that kind of shrinks the area between here and your front rollers up here. So there are front rollers here. There's two. I only have canvases on one of them, and I only use one of them because, again, I float. And again, when you purchase this, there's a couple of ways to buy it. Typically, when Nolting sells them, you get just the frame, and your dealer either may or may not, depending on how they do it, will get the conduit for you. Now, there's a difference in the size of these rollers here on the stretch frame as opposed to the steel frame. Here we have 1.5 inch conduit, electrical conduit, which is fairly strong. But over here on the steel frame, the Nolting commercial frame, we have 2-inch steel rollers. Very, very sturdy. One of the other things here that's a difference between the frames is I'll go back over here to the right hand end of this. When you're advancing your quilt on the steel frame, you have cogs in here that these little clips fall into, and as you're turning this, it will, I can't tighten that, but as you tighten it, these clips go down, and you've got individual little tiny increments that it's clicking into. So you've got very small increments that you can adjust the tightness of your quilt on the frame. And this is how you advance it. So these are on the right hand end, these cogs here, and down here, right here, as you advance your quilt, and that locks it in. It locks those rollers so that they don't unroll on you, basically, as you're quilting your quilt. There's a different type of mechanism over here on the steel stretch frame, and it's done with a clamp. This clamp goes around, in this case, the dead bar and the take-up roller, and this just undoes so that you can take a hold of your roller and you can actually turn the roller, and when you get it to the spot that you want it to, then you tighten it down and lock it in so that the roller, that's not tight enough, but so that those rollers are locked in. And you have the same thing on the front. So instead of the cog system on the commercial frame, we have this clamp system that will lock those rollers in. And this is a vast improvement over the wooden frame, the Hindenburg frame that Nolting previously sold that had wooden cogs that didn't give you a lot of flexibility. So this, you can lock it into whatever you need it to keep your quilt sturdy and level on your frame. This frame has angle bars on the end to support it, and the longer it is, it will have a center support as well. And again, Nolting has provided a batting bar underneath. Again, it's a piece of conduit that is there that you can put your rolls of batting on. Comes with clamps again. These are a little bit different because they're on an elastic thing here. And one of the things about the steel stretch frame is like the standard Nolting frame over here, where we can put any size machine on it, 17, 20, 24, just simply by changing the length of the arm here. This one is also able to accommodate various lengths of machines by moving this piece right here, starting in close and moving it out. So you can put a shorter machine on, like 17-inch, and go up to a 20 and a 23-inch fun quilter, which would be the maximum machine size that you could put on the steel stretch frame. And I talked about carriages before. This is just a shot of the carriage that's on this frame, and in the back there you can see the encoder on it for a stitch regulated machine. So if you're interested in carriages, go back a few weeks. I did a video on the carriages. So this again is the steel stretch frame. The decking here, my husband just got some wood at the lumber yard to put on here as a place where you could put your pantograph. It does not come with it. If you buy just the frame itself, it does not come with leaders. The leaders are extra, and the conduit is extra. So it can ship in a small box, and you either order the leaders with it or separately and buy the conduit. It's not that hard to assemble. It really isn't. It goes up fairly fast. So steel stretch frame, and then again the Nolting commercial frame. And if you have any questions, Nolting is more than happy to answer your questions about it. One of the things, if you're thinking about a frame, my husband always looks at things from an industrial perspective, and he feels that it's a good idea to buy a good frame, something that is going to be a good foundation for your machine, because it's like building a house. You know, you need a good foundation under the house, and your frame is a good foundation under the machine, whatever machine you're going to put on it. Well, I wish you a good week this week. We'll see you next week again on Tech Tuesday.